Welcome to Eternal Philosophies, where we explore the timeless wisdom that has shaped humanity's journey through the ages. Today we dive into one of the most fascinating codes ever crafted, the Code of the Knights Templar. A creed of honor, faith, and determination that guided these legendary warriors not only on the battlefield, but in their daily lives. What can we learn from their principles in our modern quest for meaning and purpose? Stay with us as we unravel this extraordinary legacy. The Code of the Knights Templar: Honor, Faith, and Determination. The Knights Templar, known as Soldiers of God, developed one of the most noble and rigorous codes of conduct in medieval history. This code, based on the pillars of honor, faith, and determination, not only governed the lives and actions of the members of the order, but also established a moral and ethical standard whose principles have resonated throughout the centuries. The Templars represented the ideal of the Christian warrior, combining religious devotion with military commitment, serving God and protecting the defenseless through a disciplined and virtuous existence. The origins of the Templar Order and its code. The Order of the Templars was founded in 1119 in Jerusalem, following the First Crusade. Hugh de Payens, along with 8 other knights, created a religious and military order dedicated to protecting Christian pilgrims traveling to the Holy Land. They established their headquarters on the Temple Mount of Solomon, from which the name Templars derived. In 1129, during the Council of Troy, the order was officially recognized by the Church. Its monastic rule, inspired by that of Saint Benedict and written by Saint Bernard of Clairvaux, combined a life of prayer with military discipline, revolutionizing the concept of religious vocation at the time. The Templars quickly became a respected force in Christendom due to their strict discipline, vow of poverty, and incomparable courage on the battlefield. Their primary mission was to protect pilgrims heading to Jerusalem and defend the Holy Land. Fundamental principles of the Templar Code. The Templar Code established that knights, as soldiers of God, should always walk with God and be the most humble of mortals. Conducting oneself with humility was fundamental, as was being the most honored, the most noble, the most courteous, the most honest, and the most chivalrous. A key principle of the code was selfless service. A Templar must serve the order and not expect to be served by it. They were to collaborate with divine service without expecting reward, except for the honor of serving the order with devotion. The code also emphasized justice and non-violence. A Templar must not cause any harm or damage to any human creature or other, whether out of greed, pleasure, or vanity. On the contrary, they were to bring justice to those who did not receive it. Self-discipline and constant improvement were central values. A Templar must live each day as a critic of the previous day. In this way, each dawn will be a step towards greater nobility. The 7 virtues in the Templar Knight. At the heart of the Templar Code were 7 fundamental virtues: faith, hope, charity, justice, prudence, fortitude, and temperance. Faith, hope, and charity, the spiritual foundation. Faith was considered essential, for without faith the knight cannot know or understand invisible things. Faith allowed the knight to see beyond the material world and understand his divine mission. Hope was equally crucial because, in hope, lies the power of God, not in the strength or arms of the knight. This virtue reminded the Templars that their true power came from God, not from their physical strength or military prowess. Charity, understood as love, was indispensable. For without charity, the knight will be cruel and have no pity or mercy. No knight without charity could bear the burden that a noble heart must carry. Justice, prudence, fortitude, and temperance. The virtues of character. Justice was fundamental because without justice a knight is injurious and offensive, which is why he destroys himself. Prudence guided the actions of the knight, for without prudence the knight will fall into material and spiritual harm and would not have reason, understanding, or will to maintain the honor of chivalry. Fortitude did not refer only to physical strength, but to moral resilience. Without fortitude, the knight will fall into many sins. True strength was linked to humility and love, not to anger that weakens understanding, disturbs the spirit. Temperance was essential for maintaining balance in all aspects of life, from food and drink to speech and dress, for without this virtue, chivalry is not honored. Conduct and duties of the Templar Knight. The Templar Code defines specific behaviors that every knight should follow. No woman should fear a Templar, neither from his words nor his actions. No child should suffer this fear. No man, no matter how rough, should fear a Templar. The Templars were called to be protectors of the weak and oppressed. Where there is weakness, there the Templar should bring his strength. Where there is no voice, there the Templar should bring his. Where the poorest are, there the Templar should distribute his generosity. The code also established clear limits of conduct. The Templar should not be brutal, should not get drunk in an offensive manner, should not be immoral or amoral, should not be cowardly or bestial, and should not lie. Among the specific duties were: defend the order and its memory, guard its secrets, reveal them only to those who are prepared, observe, fulfill, and enforce the rule, the code of honor, and the statutes of the order. The knight was to be a free thinker and respect the freedom of thought of all, venerate nature, respect its natural laws, know how to listen, learn from the wisest, and be restrained in speech. The spiritual dimension and the quest for truth. A distinctive characteristic of the Templar Code was its emphasis on seeking truth through faith. A soldier of the temple cannot be enslaved by sectarian beliefs or narrow opinions. God is truth, and without God, there is no truth. The Templar must always seek truth because in truth lies God. The Templar Knight was called to be master of solid self-esteem, to know how to distinguish with acuity good from evil, and to self-discipline and dedicate himself to the temple. The maxim, because he is the temple, suggested that the knight himself, in his conduct and character, embodied the ideals of the order. The code also emphasized redemption and new beginnings. It does not matter what evil you have done until today, but what good you will do from today on. This perspective opened space for personal transformation and continuous spiritual growth. Honor, chivalry, and determination in combat. On the battlefield, the Templar Code required specific conduct. Try to avoid confrontation. Engage in combat without rancor. Be merciful to the adversary. Endure pain in silence. Determination was an essential quality, expressed in the expectation that the knight should allow himself to be killed like a noble, rather than flee from battle. This commitment to courage and honor made the Templars feared by their enemies and admired by their allies. The Templars were known to fight with such ardor that the blackest hair would have turned white with fear, as reported by chroniclers of the time. This unwavering commitment to their mission and their willingness for sacrifice were distinctive marks of the order. Moral conduct and daily life. The moral code of the Templar Knight guided not only extraordinary behaviors in battle but also daily conduct. Love good, ignore evil, be kindness, justice, and compassion. Never criticize, be patient, calm, and measured. Never surrender to anger or pride. Be pure, sensitive, and gentle. Never practice irony. The code encouraged a positive attitude towards life. Be confident, satisfied, and open to others. Do not doubt and never be envious. Be moderate in all things. Avoid excesses. Humility and respect were emphasized. Be humble, kind, modest, generous, and respectful towards others. Never be malicious. Veracity was a fundamental value. Be truthful in words and deeds. Tell the truth. Never lie or slander. The code culminated with a call to peace and nonviolence. Love and protect life. Promote peace and harmony. Do not manifest aggression in any way. The Code of the Knights Templar represents one of the most notable ethical systems of the medieval period, combining Christian religious values with chivalrous ideals of honor and service. The pillars of honor, faith, and determination formed the basis of a moral system that demanded the highest standard of conduct in all aspects of life. Although the Order of the Templars was officially dissolved in 1314, its moral legacy and ideals continue to inspire admiration and fascination. The principles of selfless service. protection of the weak, pursuit of truth, fidelity to one's word, and dedication to a cause greater than oneself have transcended their specific historical context. In a world often characterized by individualism and materialism, the Templar Code reminds us that true nobility lies in character, service, and commitment to values that transcend personal interest. As expressed by the Templar motto, "Non nobis Domine non nobis, sed nomini tuo de gloriam," not to us, Lord, not to us, but to your name give glory. The Code invites us to consider a purpose greater than our personal ambitions and to dedicate our lives to ideals that endure far beyond us. Thank you for joining us on this journey through history and philosophy. If you found this exploration meaningful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Together, let's keep the flame of eternal wisdom alive.